Who is the next Red Sox player to sign an extension? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. One of the things the front office kind of highlighted going into the 2023 season is that they want to get back to extending players who are, one, performing on the team, and two, who are young talent, and lock them up before they can reach free agency. And this year has proven both of those things exist on the current 2023 team, right? Talent that is going towards free agency that has been performing for this team, and young talent that could be here for a while, but if extended, could be here even longer. So the question here is, what are the Red Sox going to do, and who is the next person to get extended? Well, that's what we're going to try and figure out today. We're going to go through some of the top extension candidates. We're going to talk about why or why not the Red Sox may want to extend them. We're going to talk about what a contract extension could possibly look like, whether or not they'd be willing to sign an extension, ultimately try and figure out who the next Red Sox player to get extended will be. But before we get into that, just a heads up, we are going to be live on this channel tonight, right around 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be watching Nick Pivetta and the Red Sox take on the Washington Nationals. We're also going to be talking about the season as a whole. We'll talk about this if you guys want to. Anything Red Sox related, baseball related, or anything you've ever wanted to ask, now is the time to do so. These are a ton of fun. If you have not been to one yet, I highly recommend them. Again, that is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so when we're talking about the possible next extension for the Boston Red Sox, there are actually a couple of different groups we have to look at. The first are the short-term extension type players where they're older, they're going to be free agents, and you're able to lock them up for the next 1 or 2 years. These are guys currently on the team like Justin Turner and James Paxton. The second group are guys who are getting closer to free agency. They still have a little bit of time left. They're not guys you want to give super long-term deals to, but they could be interesting in terms of locking them up over the next couple of years. Those are guys like Alex Verdugo and Nick Pivetta. And finally, the sort of third group of extension types here are the fun ones, right? The Braves-esque type extensions, the guys that you lock up super early in their careers so you can buy out the rest of their arbitration. You don't need to worry about going to arbitration with these guys, and you get them for a couple of years where they would normally be in the free agent market. These are players that we all know and love, like Jaren Duran, Triston Casas, Brayan Bello, and Tanner Houck. And overall, I think the most likely candidates for the next Red Sox extension include Justin Turner, James Paxton, Alex Verdugo, Nick Pivetta, Jaren Duran, Triston Casas, Brayan Bello, and Tanner Houck. Those are 8 different players that I think the Red Sox could possibly look at extending over the next few months. Starting with Justin Turner here, I think when you're looking at Justin Turner, you're not talking about adding 2 or 3 years onto his deal. He currently is on a 1-year deal with a player option next year. In terms of extensions, I would look at a 1-2 year possible deal, at the very least reworking his contract so that instead of a player option in 2024, you have a set dollar amount that he's going to stay with the team for. I think what Justin Turner has been able to do this season has been instrumental in whatever you consider the Red Sox season to be, right? Justin Turner has been a huge part of that. Now, he is getting older and he does have some bumps and bruises, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down one bit. Then you add in on top of that the leadership in the clubhouse and what he's able to do with the young players on this team. He's a really valuable piece, and in my opinion, this is an extremely realistic extension scenario. If I'm the Red Sox and I didn't trade him at the deadline, right, why take the risk of him not taking the player option and deciding to elect free agency and see if he can get a better deal elsewhere when you could lock him up for this short term right now? The other guy in the short term category is James Paxton. Now, James Paxton, unlike Justin Turner, does not have any sort of player option or club option going into 2024. He is an unrestricted free agent. The interesting thing about James Paxton is that he's never been offered a qualifying offer before. For those of you who don't know, a qualifying offer is essentially a 1-year deal where if the player takes it, great, they're taking the qualifying offer. If they don't, team gets a draft pick for it. That would be a 1-year, $20 million deal, and I actually don't think this is the craziest idea in the world to offer James Paxton a contract. He's been really solid for the Red Sox this year. He's proven that he can stay healthy for a majority of a season in 2023, right? So going into 2024, based on what we saw pitchers get paid last offseason in 2023, it really wouldn't shock me if a team went all out and gave James Paxton a 2-3 year deal worth about $20 million a year. It is possible that the Red Sox decide, hey, we're going to try and extend James Paxton on a team-friendly friendly deal. We know he likes it here. He opted in and very publicly talked about how he liked the staff on the Red Sox, how he liked what the Red Sox were doing, and that was the reason he stayed here. Let's see if we can get him for 2 years, $20 million. If not, okay, great. We'll offer him the qualifying offer, and if he takes it, he takes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. We get a pick either way. So in my opinion, James Paxton's a really interesting case because that qualifying offer is attached. Now we move on to the sort of medium style candidates for an extension, starting with Alex Verdugo, who's made it very clear that he wants to be here for the long term, right? But the question is, do the Red Sox want him to be here? Especially lately, Alex Verdugo has had on-field and off-field issues. Over his last 30 games, he's hitting just 179 with a 545 OPS. He's really struggled at the plate. He's had his issues. He's been sat twice this year recently because he was late to a practice before a game, right? And if we're talking about whether or not the Red Sox want to extend Alex Verdugo, in my opinion, it's sort of an interesting conversation, right? Because on one hand, because of how much Alex Verdugo wants to be here, and because of the fact that he is a solid defender and does normally give you at the bare minimum league average offense at the plate, he is still a fairly valuable player. And if he really wants to be here, maybe the Red Sox could sign him to a 4-year, $40 million deal where you're getting a solid right fielder for $10 million a year. He's going to give you the defense. He's going to give you some offense, and it's not a bad signing. On the other hand here, the Red Sox do have a couple of really interesting prospects outfield wise coming up over the next couple of years. And with what Alex Verdugo has sort of been able or not been able to do on and off the field, the question is he even going to be here in 2024? Could the Red Sox trade him this offseason to make room for these other guys? In my opinion, realistically, I'm leaning more towards the Red Sox don't really need him here. They might not want him here, and I wouldn't be shocked to see Alex Verdugo traded this offseason. So if we're talking about the next extension candidate for the Boston Red Sox, I don't know if it's going to be Alex Verdugo. The other sort of medium candidate here that I threw in just to have a fun conversation about is Nick Pivetta. Like Alex Verdugo, is a free agent in 2025, and he's proven that he has value, especially out of that bullpen role in 2023. Is it a conversation that the Red Sox front office is having right now where they say, hey, maybe we can get him on a 4-year, $7 million a year deal with maybe a club option after 2 years or a player option after 2 years, right? Could be a bit of an interesting conversation, and honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they have this conversation, right? Nick Pivetta has proven he can be effective in the bullpen. He can be a spot starter when you need to going forward, maybe even in a hybrid type role. He could be a very useful piece for the Red Sox going forward, and that's why I put him on this list, because I think it's an interesting conversation about what Nick Pivetta's future on the Boston Red Sox looks like. But either way, he is a candidate as well. Again, like Alex Verdugo, I don't know if he's going to be towards the top of the list in terms of priority. The other ones are a lot more fun to talk about because these are the long-term type deals, right? These are the lock them up early, have them become sort of these face of the franchise type players, have them sort of be these fan favorites for the next 10 years. And we're going to start with Jaren Duran. Duran took a little bit to figure out exactly how to perform at the major league level, but once he did, he's been electric this year, right? He's almost leading the majors in doubles. His OPS plus is at 123, 23% above league average production. He's given you pretty decent defense this year for the first time in his career, and like I mentioned, he has been a menace on the base pass, stealing bases, taking extra bases on singles, really trying to create havoc on the base pass. He's been a fun and important player to watch for the Red Sox over the course of 2023. Now, when we're talking about the next person to be extended being Duran, there are some concerns that I think the Red Sox may have, right? And that is just simply consistency. Over 2 of his 3 years appearing in Major League Baseball, only one of them has been truly successful. The other ones, you've seen a lot of ups and a lot of downs. So if I'm the Red Sox, I'm waiting a little bit, right? I want to make sure that what he's doing right now at the Major League level, while it's definitely worthy of an extension, I want to make sure that it continues, right? I want to make sure that he's able to be a consistent player and worth a long-term investment. But you obviously don't want to wait too long for him to sort of get closer to free agency and say, no, I'm going to take my chances and really try and up this paycheck. So in my opinion, if you're looking at extending Jaren Duran, you're looking at extending him through his arbitration years, which would be 2028, and then you'd want to tack on 2 or 3 years on top of that so you were getting as much value as possible, which would be close to a 10-year deal. It'd be like an 8-9-year deal of Jaren Duran on the Boston Red Sox, which in my opinion, again, you need to show that you could do it consistently. I'm looking at 2024-ish of trying to extend Jaren Duran. defense. 100% I would extend Jaren Duran, but I don't think he's going to be the Red Sox next extension. The next candidate on this list is Triston Casas, who, like Jaren Duran, also had a bit of a period where he struggled at the major league level, but since figuring out, he has been electric at the plate. He currently has a 122 OPS plus, and what I really love about Triston Casas is that he's improved at the plate every single month, right? There are some defensive question marks, which could lead to a little bit of hesitation, but what he's doing at the plate right now is really, really impressive. And like Jaren Duran, it would be sort of a similar structure to a contract. You would buy out the remaining years he has until free agency, and then you would tack on 2 or 3 years onto that, which in my opinion would be about a 10-year deal. Now, unlike Jaren Duran, in my opinion, Triston Casas has been a positive in this Red Sox team more than he's been a negative so far in his career. Combine that with his plate approach and his swing mechanics and just the attitude that he has. Not that Jaren Duran has a bad attitude. Triston Casas is a freak, right? He's very, very, very meticulous about his hitting, and I don't think that approach is ever going to change. In my opinion, that gives me more confidence if I'm the front office in Triston Casas continuing to be an effective player at the major league level. So in my opinion, if we're talking about long-term deals, Triston Casas feels like the most realistic option. In my opinion, the Red Sox offering him a deal that would be like 10 years, $160 million, where the value of his contract sort of increases year to year. Maybe it starts at $7 million, works its way up to about $20 million towards the end of this contract. That to me is worth way more than what Triston Casas will be worth towards the end of this deal and in his prime years, and it would give the Red Sox some security at first base for the next decade. Now, whether or not this is going to happen next and be the most recent extension for the Red Sox over the next couple of months is a different story, right? I think like Jaren Duran, you have a long time until he reaches free agency, so I don't know if there's a ton of urgency in the Red Sox front office to get this deal done, but there probably should be, right? I think the longer you wait to try and extend these guys, the less likely you are going to get that extension. And with Triston Casas, I have all the faith in the world that he's going to continue to be this productive of a player over his next couple of years. And so if I'm the Red Sox, yeah, this is a guy that I'm targeting. Now you got Brayan Bello, who's a really interesting case because overall this year, Brayan Bello's been really effective a majority of the season, right? He's at a 121 ERA plus, 21% above league average production on the mound, but he's struggled a lot lately, specifically with his third pitch. It's getting hammered and he's giving up a lot of home runs in hard contact. That could be a bit of a deterrent in terms of extending him for what would be very similar to a Triston Casas deal of 10 years, 8 years, 7 years, whatever, right? If I'm the Red Sox, I'm sort of taking a similar approach that I would take to Jaren Duran. Allow him to make these adjustments, see what he looks like and how he goes through adversity before you offer him a big time contract, right? How does he adjust to the league making adjustments to him at the major league level, both towards the end of 2023 and at the beginning of 2024? So in my opinion, again, a very interesting extension candidate, a guy who I think should be extended at some point, especially if he's able to make that adjustment with his third pitch, which I fully think he will be able to do, but definitely a guy I don't see the Red Sox extending within the next couple of months. The final sort of long-term type contract in this category would be Tanner Houck. Now, Tanner Houck, in my opinion, is also a very interesting conversation because he could get a very similar deal to Garrett Whitlock. Tanner Houck isn't a free agent until 2028, so you do have some time here, but if you want to extend Tanner Houck, which I think would be worth it, right? He definitely has value out of the bullpen, and what he's been able to do and make adjustments wise at the major league level on the mound in terms of starting pitching could be really valuable as you move forward here and sort of strengthen your rotation to bump Tanner Houck into a 4-5th rotation type spot and give him a Garrett Whitlock type deal that sort of buys out the last 3 or 4 years of arbitration, and then you get a couple of club options on top of that, right? But in my opinion, that shouldn't happen now. That should be a conversation for 2024, at the end of 2024 or at the beginning of 2025, where you offer him a 5-year deal, which would buy out the last 3 years of his free agency and then give him a 2-year club option on top of that as well, similar to Garrett Whitlock's. But again, I don't think there's any rush on getting Tanner Houck extended. So overall, I think there are a lot of really interesting candidates for the next Red Sox extension, but I also think the Red Sox have time on a lot of these guys to sort of figure out what type of deal they want to offer, figure out what type of role these players are actually going to be and become before they make that offer. So in my opinion, we're talking about the most realistic possibility for the Red Sox in terms of the next extension. I really think it's going to be Justin Turner. I think There's no reason to try and take that chance that he just wants to come back on his player option. I think the Red Sox are going to be pretty aggressive in making sure he stays in Boston, and I think Justin Turner is a guy we see over the next couple of months a lot of extension rumors about. That's kind of the boring answer, right? I think the more fun answer is Triston Casas. I think the Red Sox really love what Triston Casas brings to the table. I think between the plate approach and the personality, I think you could be with the Red Sox for a really long time and be a really, really productive player for the Red Sox. So I think in terms of fun, sort of extension talk, who's going to be the next one? I'm going to go with Triston Casas, but I think Jaren Duran is right up there as well. But that's just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think's the next Red Sox player to get extended? Who do you think of these guys the Red Sox should extend next? And is there anyone that I missed on this list in terms of extensions over the next year, year and a half? Let me know all your thoughts on who you think the Red Sox will extend next in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, don't forget, we are going to be live on this channel tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Do not miss it. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.